This is the third in a series of related videos that began with my video discussing the various lists all of us have been put on by corporations and governments. The second video in the series examined how Palantir's stock has nearly quadrupled in value since the 2024 U.S. presidential election, thanks in part to the 51 federal contracts they have been awarded this year, including a massive contract to consolidate all the sensitive personal data the U.S. government has on its citizens, such as employment records, bank records, tax records, health records, etc., into a single, easily searchable database AI can scan to find people of interest. In this video, I am going to answer the question, what is the ultimate goal of all the corporate and government data collection, analysis, and behavioral profiling? If you think it ends with some type of Minority Report-style predictive policing program, you are wrong. The Los Angeles Police Department has already been doing that for years. Predictive policing, a topic I will explore in more detail in a second Palantir video, is just a mile marker on the road to a dystopian future that lies somewhere between the Black Mirror episode Nosedive and the Black Mirror episode Archangel. I am Dr. John Padfield, an engineer turned state representative turned business professor, and this is Business Reform, where we discuss issues at the intersection of business, technology, and society. If you would like to support my work in bringing you well-researched and documented videos, I invite you to buy me a coffee using this QR code or the link in the description. If you look over my shoulders, you will notice two statues, a statue of liberty and a statue of Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom and war. Together, these statues serve as a constant reminder of a quote from one of my favorite founding fathers, Patrick Henry, who in 1788 said, "Guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect anyone who approaches that jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force." I firmly believe social credit scores are completely incompatible with the public liberty. I believe the best way to explain social credit scores is to quickly look at something most people are more familiar with, financial credit scores. According to Forbes Advisor, credit scores help companies like lenders and credit card issuers predict risk, the risk of loaning you money. Lenders use credit scores to answer an important question: if I let this person borrow money from me, how likely is he to pay the money back as promised? By law, when a company publishes a stock prospectus, they must include a legal disclaimer which simply states, past performance is no guarantee of future results. The same is true of financial credit scores. Having a good credit score is not a guarantee they will repay their loan on time, just as it is not a guarantee that a person will default on a loan if they have a poor credit score. But a credit score is a predictor of who will repay a loan, and lenders rely on them to make lending decisions. You might be wondering where financial credit scores come from. The short answer is they come from credit bureaus, and the three biggest ones in the United States are TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. These credit bureaus are private companies that traffic your personal financial information to compile your credit history and generate your credit report. They then use proprietary algorithms to convert the data in your report into a credit score. They then sell your credit report and credit score to lenders and to, quote, others. Here is a simplified block diagram to illustrate how all of this works. Credit bureaus purchase information about you from banks, credit card companies, landlords, car dealers, and other companies with whom you do business. They analyze that data with a proprietary algorithm that looks at how often you have made a late payment, how late you were on those payments. They also look at your total debt as well as your ratio of fixed payment debts, such as mortgage and car loans, versus revolving lines of credit, such as credit cards. The algorithm then calculates a credit score, usually a single value between 300, meaning poor creditworthiness, and 850, meaning very good creditworthiness. Your credit report and score are then sold to lenders and others. This is where the consequences come in. If you have too much debt or have made too many late payments, your poor credit score may mean that you will get turned down on a car loan or that you will have to pay a higher interest rate on your loan. It makes sense that a lender would only want to loan money to someone who is likely to repay the money that they borrow. But other than lenders, who else cares about your financial credit score? The government buys people's credit scores, and poor credit scores may prevent you from obtaining a security clearance. Employers also buy people's credit scores, and poor scores could prevent you from getting a job. Some insurance companies will double the rates they charge homeowners with poor credit scores, and some landlords refuse to rent to people who have poor credit scores. In other words, a poor credit score can make your life miserable. I feel compelled to point out that credit bureaus also have a horrible reputation for failing to protect your data after they have collected it. In 2017, Equifax allowed hackers to steal the incredibly sensitive and personal information of 147 million consumers. This exposed 147 million people to the risk of identity theft and resulted in the largest ever data breach settlement as of 2019 for $650 million. That works out to just $4.42 per victim of Equifax's incompetent and/or negligent security measures. But in 2022, TransUnion said, "Hold my beer." They shattered Equifax's record by 53 million victims when they allowed hackers to steal the personal data from 200 million people. At least TransUnion learned their lesson from this incident and took swift action to make sure that never happened again, until August 2025, when they allowed the personal, sensitive data of another 4 million people to be stolen. Thankfully, as of October 2025, Experian has not reported any massive data breaches. Instead, they lost a $22.5 million class action suit in 2022 for false reporting information about consumers to creditors, which resulted in innocent people being denied credit and suffering other consequences through no fault of their own. So out of the big three credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion have had 3 massive data breaches allowing extremely sensitive and personal information of 351 million innocent people to fall into the hands of criminals, and Experian has ruined the credit of innocent people they falsely reported as high risk. But collectively, the political action committees of these 3 companies have donated millions of dollars to federal candidates over the past couple of election cycles, so it's all good. Nothing to see here. Please just watch the puppet show. Don't ask who pulls the strings. Let's quickly summarize. Financial credit scores are created by private companies who buy all types of personal data about you and use proprietary algorithms on that data to score you. Then those scores are sold to the government, companies, and others who use your score to make decisions that dramatically impact your life, and you have zero ability to opt out. Now let's talk about social credit scores. They are the exact same concept, except they use a wider variety of data about you, such as who your friends and family are, how many miles you drive, what type of media you watch, what type of products you buy, what you read and post on social media, what type of medical treatments or prescriptions you have had, what type of therapy you have sought, how much you exercise, whether you obey orders to stay home for months at a time, whether you obeyed orders to not visit elderly loved ones in their final days, and to not get together with friends and family over Thanksgiving and Christmas, and whether you are a member of a church that disobeyed orders to close when the governor told them to. You might have noticed a theme of obedience in those last several examples. That is because the architects of our surveillance state, which enables social credit scores to exist, are determined to make you obedient to the way they want you to live. Before I go any further, I really dislike using the word they because it's vague and it sounds like a conspiracy theory. Let's focus on just one of the architects of the surveillance state, Larry Ellison. Larry isn't just one of the 3,000 billionaires in the world today. Last month, he became the wealthiest person in the world. How did he get so rich? He is the co-founder of the software giant Oracle, and he currently serves as their chairman of the board. Just as Palantir has seen its stock dramatically increase this year, Oracle's stock value has more than doubled over the past 6 months. Let's take a look at what the wealthiest man in the world, who made his money selling the software infrastructure to build the surveillance state, has to say about privacy. According to a September 28, 2025 article in Fortune magazine, Larry Ellison stated at Oracle's financial analyst meeting last year, quote, "Artificial intelligence will help process the vast amounts of footage recorded by cameras placed on everything from car dashboards and front doors to security systems and cops. As always, links to all my sources can be found in the description. I believe the word everything is a lot broader than the few items Ellison specifically mentioned. I believe in Ellison's plan for society, AI will also process video feeds from Meta's face-worn cameras, Flock Safety's omnipresent license plate and bumper sticker cameras, and the new audio-only AI friend necklace that listens to you and anyone else who is speaking within range of its always listening hidden microphone. AI will also be processing video from both private citizens' dash cams and the federally mandated driver monitoring cameras built into all new cars sold in the United States, and facial recognition cameras installed at a growing number of brick-and-mortar grocery stores and retail stores. And let's not forget the facial recognition doorbell cameras that help the surveillance state know where everyone sleeps every night. AI will probably keep tabs on everyone in the UK's movements and purchases thanks to their mandatory digital ID that will offer, quote, countless benefits to citizens. You know, benefits like being able to keep your job, board a train, purchase food, and continue living in your house or apartment. All the things British citizens were never able to do before Starmer ordered everyone to get a digital ID. And just to make sure nobody loses their digital ID, maybe Starmer will follow the European historical precedent from last century by making those IDs available as a free tattoo. AI will also be able to track everyone's browsing habits thanks to the age verification laws in the UK, many US states, and several other countries around the world. What is the richest man in the world doing with all that wealth? His first purchase was to buy control of Paramount Global, which gives him control of CBS, CBS News, and numerous children's channels, music channels, television stations, and radio stations. But wait, there's more. Larry Ellison and his son David are now trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. If the Trump administration allows this acquisition to go through, that will give the Ellison family control over one broadcast network, 60 cable networks, 20 major movie and TV studios, and many popular franchises including Mission Impossible, Star Trek, Harry Potter, SpongeBob SquarePants, Barbie, and the DC Universe. That is a tremendous amount of power for one family to have to shape how society sees the world. Thankfully, Larry Ellison isn't some evil James Bond villain trying to impose his beliefs and will on us without our consent. He has the best of intentions. But as the old saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Larry has already explained why society needs to be monitored and supervised by AI overlords watching and listening to us every minute of every day. Quote, we're going to have supervision. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we are constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. Gee, that doesn't sound Orwellian at all. Is there any truth to Larry's claim that people will be on their best behavior when they have zero privacy and they know they are being monitored 24/7? Let's do a quick thought experiment. What is the closest thing today to the 24/7 surveillance state utopia Larry wants to impose upon society? In all seriousness, I would argue it is a federal prison where inmates have no Fourth Amendment rights, no privacy, and are subject to lockdowns and frequent searches not only of their cells but also their bodies, at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. With continuous surveillance, no Fourth Amendment protection, and frequent strip searches, and the constant threat of solitary confinement hanging over their head if they misbehave, everyone should be on their best behavior and there should be zero crime inside of a federal prison. After all, there are cameras everywhere. But that is the exact opposite of what the data shows. The U.S. Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General released a report that documented 89 homicides in federal prisons, along with 56, quote, accidental end-of-life events, and 187 instances of inmates committing auto-delete. But it gets worse. Many of the worst crimes committed weren't by inmates. They were committed by the people in charge of all those surveillance cameras. Prison staff in 2/3 of federal prisons had sexually abused female inmates, and in some cases the abuse had continued for months or years. How is this possible? I thought people, especially prison staff, would be on their best behavior because of the 24/7 surveillance. Apparently, Larry Ellison wants to subject society to even more surveillance and loss of rights than what federal inmates are subjected to, so he can force people to be on their best behavior. But social credit scores aren't about breaking written laws that are passed by elected officials, enforced by police officers, and tried in courts under strict rules of evidence. Generally speaking, if you are breaking a law, you know you're doing something wrong. One thing that makes social credit scores so insidious is you really don't know if you are doing anything wrong because the algorithms are proprietary and your score can plummet, and you can be penalized, not in a courtroom, but by private businesses, without ever knowing why. In Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1850 book, The Scarlet Letter, a married woman living in Boston becomes pregnant while her husband is away for an extended period. The authorities of Boston force her to wear a bright red A for adulteress on her chest as punishment, so that the good people of the town would know what type of woman she was, and they could shame her and refuse to transact any business with her and her innocent child. Social credit scores are the 21st century equivalent of the Scarlet Letter. I call them the Scarlet Number. If AI determines you are not on your best behavior, whatever that means to the people who programmed the AI, you may be subject to non-judicial consequences. Would you like some examples? Lauren Southern is a conservative YouTuber with over 700,000 subscribers. I have never watched any of her videos, so I cannot speak to her content, but I know YouTube has strict content policies. The fact she is still on YouTube as of the recording of this video tells me that she is not threatening anyone or calling for violence, although she may hurt some people's feelings from time to time. 2 years ago, Lauren made a post on Facebook in which she shared an email her parents received from Airbnb informing them they had been kicked off of Airbnb's platform because, quote, your account is closely associated with a person who isn't allowed to use Airbnb. Punishing someone's parents because their adult daughter expressed her opinion on YouTube is a North Korea-level tactic to coerce people to get their mind right. The following day, Airbnb claimed the ban was a mistake, but they never explained how that mistake happened. Maybe an Airbnb employee was working from home and their cat typed out that email while the employee was heating up a Hot Pocket in the kitchen. Never trust a tabby with your email password. Another non-judicial consequence is getting debanked because your religious organization espouses beliefs that run counter to the ever-shifting political winds. Even Newsweek published an opinion piece warning against the practice of politically motivated debanking. Social credit scores are here now, but they are still in their infancy in the United States. The infrastructure and systems for expanding them and tying them all together are being built right in front of our eyes by people like Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, and Alexander Karp. The examples of getting booted off Airbnb and getting debanked are just the tip of the iceberg compared to what's coming if we don't stop it by taking back control of our personal data and demanding Congress pass laws protecting us from all these good intentions. British writer and Oxford University professor C.S. Lewis summed it up nicely when he wrote, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience." If you appreciate this type of analysis and content, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, especially my VPN and SimFarm videos, which will be my next 2 videos. I am also considering making a new series on the intersection of business, technology, and society depicted in movies and TV shows. Please let me know in the comments if you would be interested in this type of content. And finally, I have some dates for my upcoming speaking events. I will be speaking in Chicago, Illinois on Saturday, November 1st, Louisville, Kentucky on Tuesday, November 4th, Ackworth, Georgia on Saturday, November 8th, and Chattanooga, Tennessee on Wednesday, November 19th. Please visit brushfirestour.com for more details. What ideas do you have to stop social credit scores before they become more common and dystopian? I can't wait to read your comments.